I have fallen in love with St. John. I've been spending a lot of time here over the last year, and last time I was here, I saw my first moose. That's how you guys just react to that word. Like, oh yeah. You mean George, the moose? You saw George? Oh, Steve the moose. It really tripped me out. Have you guys ever prepped someone for the first time they're gonna see a moose? It's a very similar description every time. You guys always warn someone about their height, their size. They're huge. And they're like, yeah, cool, I've heard they're big. No, they're huge. I thought maybe, sure, a horse may be a little taller with antlers. No. These things are 3 stories high. They're the manliest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. They have triceps, for crying out loud. Abs. Some of them are wearing tap-out shirts, I swear to God. They are the manliest things I've ever seen in my life. The epitome of testosterone. And it looks like it hurts to be a moose. It looks painful. It looks like someone injected their face with testosterone and they are now exploding out of themselves, just like there's too much face for frame, like it's coming out like a Picasso. The nose of an 80-year-old alcoholic man. And that second face. And what do they eat? No one knows. No one knows what meese eat. That's plural for moose, right? Meese? Sounds right. I'm sure I'm not the first to say that. Someone once told me it was bark off a tree. Bark. Like bark? Yeah. Oh, you mean bark? Do you understand me better if I pronounce it like that? Bark! But that doesn't make sense. How much bark are these things eating to get that big? Where's the protein? They're huge animals. Are they straight up eating 3 entire Sitka spruce trees, then going back into the woods and doing push-ups for 9 hours? Thank God they're not meat eaters. Can you imagine that for a second? A meat-eating moose? That's the scariest thing I've ever thought of in my entire life. Just this 3-story high, antlered beast running through the forest, frothing at the mouth. I'll tell you one thing, if they were meat eaters, we would not be pulling over to take pictures on the side of the road. We'd be locking the doors and calling 911 because this is now a situation. And they're like, just majestic, like they'll come out of the woods and you're captivated by them. They're slow moving. Huge member. Heavy member. Like you can tell it's heavy because of the delay of the swing when it walks. It's like, it's a step behind where you feel it should be. It's got drag. And I feel like because their legs are so skinny, they're top heavy, I feel like their balance is dependent on the opposite swing. Like a pendulum. A pendulum. And that's the females, for crying out loud. That's how manly this animal is. Is the chicks are the biggest schlongs you've ever seen in your life. That took a lot out of me. I'm out of breath already. It's commitment. You know, I was in Northern Ontario. It's really interesting to see the different signs for wildlife. Because even within the same province, they can be dramatically different from one end to the other. In Northern Ontario, the sign, like the road sign for a moose, is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Because it's just the shadow of the moose, but a very aggressive one. It's like chest, it's like going that way. Its horns are like, and it's got like spiky hair, tiny little ass. And it's just like charging that way. And its eyes are lit up. Like it's a shadow, a silhouette, but glowing eyes. And it doesn't say anything on the sign except night danger. That's all it says. If you're not from a country that you recognize what that silhouette is supposed to be, It looks like a sign warning you for a terrifying creature called night danger that is lurking in the woods. It sounds like a Bond villain. I wouldn't go in there if I were you. Night danger was spotted in there last night. Night danger isn't known to be very forgiving. Night danger voted for Trump! And feels not an ounce of remorse. That's all I got. It's closed after 10 minutes. Not even. You know, I moved to Canada at such an age in my life that I don't know at this point what is Australian lingo and what is just kiddie talk. Do you know what I mean? Because like my whole life, my dad always called going to bed Jim Jam Nine-Eye. And I'm not sure at this point in my adult life if that's an actual Australian term for going to bed, or if that's just what he said to me because I was a child. Like, I don't know if there's grown men walking the streets of Sydney right now going, "Oh, Sterling, that was a rough day at work, mate. I'm bloody exhausted. I think I'm gonna go straight home and go Jim Jam Nine-Eye. Time for Jimmy Jammy, Sterling." Or if you see something attractive, like a nice sunset, that's gorgy gumdrops. How Australian does that sound? "Oh, that's gorgy gumdrops." "Oh, did you see Stacey tonight? She's looking gorgy gumdrops." Or a good meal, that's delishy McGrishy. Going to the toilet, that's poopy bum bottom. One time my friend Rob fell asleep on the toilet. He went poopy bum nine-eye. He went Jim Jam bum bottom, and that's a true story, ladies and gentlemen. He fell into the bath when he woke up. He did. Because he fell asleep, and his legs fell asleep, and then he woke up in a panic, and he tried to get up and run out, and his legs were asleep, so he just fell over into the tub. Face down, ass up. That's the way he liked it. Never mind. You know, I went back to Sydney for the first time in October in 3 years. I hadn't been back in a while. And I was really curious to see, you know, as a grown-up, how I would deal. Because one of the first questions people ask you when they find out you grew up in Australia is about the insects and the crazy animals. Now, I'll tell you one thing. That as a child in Australia, we're taught as children to take our shoe, like before we put our shoe on, to shake it upside down and make sure there isn't a snake coiled up or an insect. I never found anything, but I would wake up once a week in my room with a huntsman spider the size of my hand. Big hairy thing in the corner, like they would come out of the air vents. Disgusting. And I was really curious when I went back in October how I would deal with this as a grown-up, as a grown man. It concerned me, to be perfectly honest with you. And it turns out there is a protocol. So if you're going to Australia, follow these easy steps because you will, it's inevitable. You'll find a huntsman spider. Step number 1, when you see that big hairy spider in the corner of your room, you get your dad. And if your dad isn't around, just get a dad. Get any dad, and they know what to do. They'll sweep it out of the house. Step number 2, you burn the house down and move to Canada, because screw that. That is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. They've got heartbeats. You can see it beating. Some of them are so big, they've got fingerprints and social insurance numbers. That's night danger, I'll tell you that much. If there's any animal that warrants that name, it's that bloody animal. I'll tell you why it's night danger, because when they come out, it's while you're deep in Jim Jam Nine-Eye. They're the furthest thing from gorgy gumdrops. And as soon as you see them, you're going poopy bum bottom, right away. Immediately. Anyway, I digress. And I don't know what that means, by the way. I digress. I just say stuff like that in sentences to make myself sound more sophisticated, grown up. Touche, that's another one. I say that all the time. I have no idea what it means. Touche. Sometimes I'll go to Starbucks just so that I can say venti. Like, I don't even want a coffee. I just want to be able to say venti and sound cool. Because I'm never saying venti. I'm not saying that outside of Starbucks. I'm never walking down the street with my friend going, hey, Whoopi. I got a friend named Whoopi. Going, hey, Whoopi, check out the size of that venti cloud up there. I never say that. Well, you might be sitting there thinking, well, actually, Garrett, venti is the Italian word for 20, which refers to the 20 ounces in the largest size of the Starbucks cup. Which, first of all, go back to Rothsay, you pretentious douche. For those of you listening to this album and are not from St. John, that is the upper class, somewhat snooty area of St. John. If you're in Vancouver, just pretend I said Kitsilane. Or if you're in Toronto, just pretend I said Forest Hill. You get the point. Anyway, I never say that. But even still, I'm never out with my buddies on a Friday night, you know, going out to the bar and going, hey, Geppetto. I got a friend named Geppetto. And we're like, hey, Geppetto, check out the grande tits on that tall 20-year-old. I never say that. Anyway, I digress. Touche. I have always held a Canadian passport. I was born in Toronto, raised in Sydney from a very early age. I was getting my passport renewed and it blew me away when I actually had a good look at our passport. Have you ever paid attention to it? What's on the front? It's the coat of arms. For every country, that passport has that country's coat of arms. Canada's makes no sense. It has nothing to do with Canada. Tells us nothing about the country. So based on that, I did some research to check out other countries' coat of arms. So for the most part, they make sense. For example, America's coat of arms. On it, there's an eagle. Make sure you get that in the camera. You got that? I'll hold it as long as you like, man. He's got some kind of a shrubbery here. He's flying away with. Great, that makes sense. We all know America's animal is the eagle. Australia's coat of arms also makes sense. On one side, there's a kangaroo. This is my kangaroo. St. John, I hope you like it. And on the other side, there's an emu that apparently looks like Mick Jagger. Great, that also makes sense. In Australia, we have both kangaroos and emus. Canada's coat of arms, not a word of a lie. I kid you not. On one side, there's a lion. For Canada, a lion with a mane. And on the other side, folks, there's a unicorn. A mythical beast. The only thing that tells me about Canada is that there's a lot of weed here. Because if you want to smoke weed, you're going to go to the country with the mythological, winged, flying horned horse on that country's coat of arms, the thing that represents the country best, not to mention the African lion. And it's Canada's way of saying, hey, we have the reefer. Up here. Come blaze, Japan, bring the Philippines. Screw it. I say that since we've gone this far, we might as well just let Quebec separate. On one side of their coat of arms, they can have like a poutine, gravy and cocaine on top, stripper coming out of it. And on the other side is centaur, huh? That goat guy, I am a centaur. Some dragons flying around. I am a dragon. I am from Quebec. Tabernacle. Les poissons. Hee hee hee. Oh. It's more like the coat of arms for Narnia, for crying out loud. A whole new theme. But yes, the coat of arms, it derives from the English and Scottish, the United Kingdom coat of arms. That's where it comes from. I was just over there. Are you from there?
I'm a McDonald.
What's that?
I'm a McDonald.
You're a McDonald? Are you from Scotland? I know what that means, but jeans can be very scrambled these days, sir. That was such a weird. I'm a McDonald. Sounds like you're from Quebec, if you. So yes is the answer, and you're very aware of your coat of arms. Is that right? Sure. Well, I was there, honestly. I was there last year. It was the most beautiful country. A lot of things stood out to me in Scotland: the castles, the history. One thing more than anything, though, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but every single sink in that country have the same. It's like they're 900 years old. The sinks. They've got those with the separate faucet on each side of the sink. Because on one side there's the hot faucet, and on the other side there's the cold. How am I supposed to wash my hands in that? Who did that? Because it's not like the hot faucet is warm water. It's scalding hot. It's never seen a day of cold in its life. Am I supposed to just cup my hands and fill an appropriate amount of cold water in first? And then just kind of just jab it underneath the boiling hot water until the right mix is in my hands? Is that the idea? And then there's no hands left for soap. Am I supposed to just pump it in with my chin or the back of my hands and try to catch it before it hits the porcelain? Am I supposed to fill the sink like a bird bath? And just kind of douse myself in it? Get it together, Scotland. What the hell is going on over there? Where's my bidet? That's what I want to know. You guys know bidets, right? It's the water fountain we all realized isn't a water fountain about halfway through our first time using it. We won't make that mistake again, will we, adults? Ah! Thank God those don't have separate faucets. That would get a little messy, wouldn't it? Which side do I burn tonight? I had some fun with my Siri while I was out there as well. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but you can now change the dialect on your iPhone. Do you guys know that? A lot of you probably know you can change the language, which is fun. So if you're learning Italian or whatever language, your iPhone will speak to you in just that language. It's spell everything, it's great. But you can now change the accent. Within the English language, there's about 10 different accents you can change from. You can change it from American to English, Scottish, Australian, even Indian, but in English. I swear to God, that's a real thing that's on your iPhone right now. And this is a thrill for me when I found out, because I grew up in Australia. And for years, my iPhone has had a hard time understanding crucial words I've been trying to say. Simple things. I would try to call my sister, whose name is Devon Clark, and I'd be like, "Oi, Siri, call Devon Clark." And she'd respond confused with her North American accent and say, "I'm sorry, I don't have a Devon Clark in your contacts." I'd be like, "Clark? No, Clark! Devon Clark!" And force the R so she could understand. But now that she's Australian, it's much easier. All I have to do is be like, "Oi, Siri, call Devon Clark." And now she politely responds with, "Oh, you mean your fucking sister?" "Oh, fucking yeah, let's give her a bloody ring. What a good little brother." It's much easier. The GPS is consistent too. Do it when you leave the venue tonight. Change it to Australian. I'll show you how. Ask for directions anywhere. Be like, "Oi, Siri, give me directions to the nearest McDonald's." And she'll be like, "Right, mate, you're going to go about 500 meters to the north, then turn left. After that, oh, check out the size of that fucking moose. She's a fucking beauty. Look at that big fucking dick, fucking yeah." Anyway, then turn right and whammo blammo, you're at Mickey D's. "I'll have a quarter pounder." She's eating now. It's getting disturbing how real this technology is getting. She's placing food orders for crying out loud. It's turning into a bloody Tamagotchi for crying out. I have to feed her now. Do you guys remember those things? Tamagotchis? It was like that first little portable thing you had to feed. It was a keychain. You had to feed your keychain. That's what it was. You had to feed and shit your keychain. It was a responsibility on your keys. Ridiculous. They were causing car accidents. People got depressed if their Tamagotchi died. To me, it was always the name that got me, though. Tamagotchi? That sounds like a town in New Brunswick. Miramichi, Tamagotchi, Tickle-magooch, Suck-a-macaque, Suck-a-maquack? That's the one. Suck-a-maquack. It's a real place. I was there last week and it was great. Turn left at Tickle-magooch. Yeah, Suck-a-maquack. Fucking good high five. I really felt that. You know, just connect, you know? Jurassic Park. Oh, I forgot. There's a camera right here, by the way. You're in it. We got that high five? Tyler? We got the high five. That's it. I'm just getting off now. That's the album.